All right, so we're going to split this up. The last video I planned on putting my thoughts on the Brooks Aurora BL and my New York City Marathon training plan together, but I think all my thoughts on the shoe and the marathon training in general are just too much for one video. It would have been too long, so just splitting it up, and we're going to dive into everything I had to share about the New York City Marathon training plan that I'm going to be going through. So we'll jump into that now, and yeah, so 2 videos instead of one. Aside from the Brooks Aurora BL, I promised I'd kind of give my final thoughts on that shoe in my next video, so I just wanted to put that out there. And, you know, great shoe, terrible price, and interesting technology and things that I think they just need to tweak and kind of tone down a little bit as far as the decoupled heel, and maybe they'll be onto something. But again, I do think that it's a very comfortable shoe. One of the most soft and just plush feeling things I've felt under my feet, especially as a heavier runner, in a very long time. So just, you know, great in that sense, but just too unique and too different, and something weird that they're trying to do, I think, to be the right shoe for most runners. But who knows, it might fit well into your rotation or into some other people. It'll fit into mine in some ways, just definitely not as something that I'll use every day or even every week possibly. It might be something I use every other week, or just depending on how I'm feeling. But so, kind of transitioning over to what I'm going to do for the New York City Marathon. I've worked with coaches when I was in the city and with my running club that use that V.02 app to help plan your training and everything. And basically what it is you get a number based on your current fitness. So if you do a time trial for a mile or a 5K, it gives you a number, and then that number helps indicate what training you should be doing. Like, what are your paces for 200 or 400 intervals? What's your mile threshold pace? That way you can always work with the proper pacing for your workouts, you know, at a given time. And as you continue to train and as you get more and more fitness, that number may bump up throughout your training plan, and then you know you can run a little faster 200 or 400, a little faster mile, and you can adjust and know what your pacing is going to be for your actual marathon. So it's very useful in that sense. I'll show you, you know, kind of how it works with the V.02 calculator app. So that way you also can kind of find your current pace, maybe with a mile time trial, and then you'll know exactly what your workouts kind of should be if you're training for anything and you're using 200, 400, 800 mile, whatever kind of workouts in your plan. You can use that number and that calculator to know what paces you should be running for yourself and for your current fitness. Most important for me and for everybody, you should be training at your current fitness. So, you know, in 2019, I was running about 8 minutes per mile for the New York City and Chicago Marathon. I think right now I'm probably a little slower than that. So I need to train at maybe 8:30 or 8:15 per mile marathon fitness right now. And as my training progresses and I become more fit, maybe I'll be closer to that goal of 8 minutes per mile for my marathon. And all of my workouts and pacing will just slightly drop in the pace and time as I go through my training block. So, you know, every 4 weeks or so, maybe I'll increase my number because I'll have a little better fitness, and my times will go down a little bit for what I should be working out at. That way I'm always pushing my body, but I'm not pushing it too much and trying to train at a fitness level that I'm not at right now. That's something that I think is really important, and I think something that some people fail to realize. If they want to run a fast marathon, they think they should train for a fast marathon right now, but you may not be there. If you're doing a 20-week training program, you know, you need to drop that training down right now and get to the point where you want to be 20 weeks from now, little by little over time. You don't want to run, you know, too fast of a 200 or 400 meter workout, feel absolutely exhausted, and then the next day not be able to go out for a run because you're going too fast for yourself at this time. So keep that in mind. I'm going to keep that in mind. I'm going to train for my current fitness, and hopefully it increases more and more. Then I'll bump up my workouts, make them a little harder, make them a little faster, and get to the point that I want to be in time for the marathon. So for me, I'm going to go just kind of general overview. I'm looking to run 6 days a week right now in this training block. The weekends are obviously my longer runs, as most people do, just because, you know, you're working around a work schedule or something like that. Obviously, not everybody works Monday to Friday, so if you have days off Tuesday, Wednesday, or scattered throughout the week, You can obviously adjust your long run to be when's best for you. But for me, the weekends, work just fine. So that's when I'm going to be doing my long runs. Monday and Wednesday are my easiest days. They're the shortest distance of the week. They're both pretty similar throughout. So if I'm looking at the beginning of my training block, Monday and Wednesday may just be something like a 3, 4, 5 mile run. They're a day that I want to get the mileage in, but take it really easy, use it as a recovery, but continue moving, build up that weekly mileage, build up that aerobic base. But again, I'm not putting in too much work or effort into those runs. You want to run your easy days nice and easy so you can run your hard days, your workout days, your long run days, appropriately hard at that point. You don't want to burn out on an easy day by any means. You want to use it as a day to move, loosen up, and gain some fitness, but really not push your body beyond its limits. You want to take a nice easy heart rate, a nice easy power output. However you look at your training numbers, it should be easy, it should be nice and short, it should be recovery while still remaining active. Tuesdays and Thursdays, those are some of my workout possible days. I have everything on Tuesday from tempo runs, which tempo runs are going to be a run that I progressively go from an easy pace to about a 5K pace 2/3 of the way through the run, and then drop it back down at the end to a more easy pace as a cool down. They may be 30 minutes, 40 minutes, up to an hour at the most, but that's something that I may be doing on a Tuesday or a Thursday. I also have 800 meter repeats. Yesterday was my first set of 800 meter repeats. I did 4 800s yesterday, which also included a 1.5 miles that I warmed up, and then a little over a mile that I cooled down. So it pretty much averaged or totaled to 5 miles for the day, but there was a 4x800 meter workout in there. And again, that's why I want to be easy on Monday and Wednesday, recovering on Wednesday after the workout, taking it easy on Monday after the long runs of the weekend. That way I can put in the real work on Tuesday when I'm doing some track work. The other option specifically for Tuesday that I have built into my calendar are hills. So I'll do 400 meters on hills, hill repeats again with a mile warm up or 2 mile warm up, another mile or so cool down. Probably end up being around 4 to 5 miles for that day, but with 400 meter hill workouts in there. For my 400 meter hill workouts, generally looking to go the same effort as I would for a 400 meter track repeat. So if my 400 meter track repeat has a pace of 6 minutes 20 seconds per mile, I may not hit 6 minutes 20 seconds per mile on a hill, but I'm looking at the same effort as the track workout 400 in a hill workout 400. So based off of effort, you kind of have to find your pace with experience, but you want to find a nice 1/4 mile hill, go out, get that nice effort of a 400 meter run, but while doing it on hill to really strengthen up your legs and everything. Especially for me, it's important because this is not Chicago this year. Chicago's a really flat marathon course for anyone who doesn't know, great for trying to get your PR. But New York City has bridges, hills left and right. So it's just important that I put some work in on the hills. And for anybody else who's going to run New York City, do some hill workouts in there. Run some hilly long runs, just to mix it up. I actually have a run I know scheduled with a running club in the Palisades in New Jersey, which is a really hilly run, a really tough run. And that's going to be a 20-mile run with a lot of vertical. So that's a great preparation for probably what will be a little easier in New York City, just because there are so many hills and vertical, changes throughout the New York City Marathon that workout will have a lot of benefit for me. Doing 400 meters with hills will have some benefit for me. So that's what's going to be mixed in there on Tuesdays as well. Thursdays maybe more race pace effort or tempo runs, something like that. But between those two, again, depending on how I'm feeling, I have it on my calendar to do tempo runs, track work, kind of mixed out and balanced out. And it just goes by how my body feels. If I can't do a hard workout on a Thursday, it might be because I went too hard on a Tuesday, didn't take an easy enough run on a Wednesday. So you kind of find that balance again, and I'll use my, again, the VDOT calculator to find my right pacing to make sure I'm not burnt out on these other days where I'm putting in, the real work and the real effort that will help, just kind of push me a little bit further along in my training. Friday every week is a rest day. So Friday for me is going to be, kick the legs up, recover. Obviously I still have work, but there's really not going to be any running at all on Fridays whatsoever. I may consider going on a few bike rides on a Friday, just something easy. But overall, Friday is the full day to recover. No running, no extra efforts on the legs, anything like that. I will be doing kind of weight training and stretching and things throughout the training program, but I think even on Friday, I'm definitely going to avoid even anything with the legs, just because that's truly a recovery day for me in my plan. So that's where I stand with my Fridays, and complete rest day across the board, the whole training plan. So Saturday and Sunday for me are both my longer runs. This is something that worked out really well for me when I was training for a 60K race. Ultra marathon runners do it all the time. You're almost doubling your long runs back to back. Now for the marathon, I'm not long running 2 days in a row, but I am doing, 5, 7, 8, let's see what I get up to, up to 10 miles at race pace on a Saturday, 12 miles at race pace on a Saturday. And then right after that, Sunday, I'm going into my longest run. So it just kind of helps get you used to running extended miles on somewhat tired legs. If I go for an 8-mile run on a Saturday and then a 15-mile run on a Sunday, chances are there's going to be some fatigue in my legs that I have to work through and get used to, and my body has to work on just preparing itself for running tired but continuing to run long distances. So that's how that's structured. That's how I like to continue doing my long runs, is pretty long run Saturday, longest run on Sunday, and that pattern will continue throughout the whole training plan. I have 3 20-mile runs, which will be my peak distance on Sundays later, closer to the race, and also 1 half marathon scheduled, again, after the weekend of the first 20-miler, just to change it up. It's going to be a hard effort at 13 miles, obviously. So we'll see if we can schedule an actual race for that, just to get used to race pace environment for extended distances. So that's the overview. I just wanted to give you, the structure of my workout. I'm not going to go through everything day by day. Obviously the workouts increase. So Monday, Wednesday, again, go from maybe 3 miles each day in the beginning, 4 miles as it progresses, up to 6 to 7 miles maybe in the later stage of the training block. Tuesday and Thursday as well starts with lower repetitions into hill workouts, and the track workouts up to maybe 6 hill repeats and 800 meters towards the end of the training block. And Thursday also maybe up to 40-minute, 45-minute tempo runs. But again, not too much effort, not too much speed, just increasing the volume slightly throughout the whole training plan. Obviously, the long runs go from what I did with my 11-mile run first up to the 20 miles, towards the end of the training block. And Saturdays will increase also from 6, 7 miles to 8, 9, 10 miles up to 10-mile race pace, going into then a long run on the Sunday. So everything increases gradually. I don't want to do an overall mileage increase too fast. You risk injury that way. So that's how it's going to be. And I'd say, let's see, we've got the last long run is going to be on October 17th, and then that gives me 3 weeks until the actual New York City Marathon. So those final 3 weeks after my last 20-mile run are going to start to drop the mileage again. That's the taper in my training plan. It starts to go down, the 4-mile race pace on Saturday, 12 miles on the Sunday, then the next weekend 4 miles on Saturday, only 8 miles on the Sunday, and then it's really just complete taper in that last week, with the exception of I always like to do some 2 by 1 mile threshold runs or 3 by 1 mile threshold runs on the Wednesday or so before the marathon. You'll feel, if you've done it in the past, this, you feel really refreshed and really great in those tempo runs, in those threshold runs. So it's just a good sign when you start moving a little bit quicker, you keep your legs awake, you don't let them fall asleep. In the whole taper, you still want to do a little bit of that speed work. So you go nice and easy, light threshold runs, 2 or 3 of them, 2 or 3 miles. And then that just helps, again, wake up your legs. You should feel really refreshed, and it helps just build that confidence as you go into the race weekend. So that's the one exception of, having a little bit of an extra workout in there just the week of or week before the race. That's something that I always like to do and has worked out well for me. But otherwise, that last week is, 8 miles on Sunday, 3 miles, 3 miles, and then 2 extra days of rest. A light 2 mile run on the Saturday before race day, just to kind of shake out the legs, a shakeout run. And Sunday, November 7th, is going to be the New York City Marathon, of course. When you're training for a marathon or an ultra marathon or anything like that, it's a higher distance. You're really dedicating a lot of time to this training plan and to the workouts that go in before the race. So you really have to love running or love the activities you're doing before that race, or else you're just going to feel burnt out. You're not going to want to do it. You're not going to be motivated. So, hopefully if you're training for a marathon, and, I've used this platform of kind of talking to you, or just, talking to myself really through the process, is just some extra motivation after 2020 where there was no races. You just got to find that motivation and stuff that keeps you going, or else you're not going to want to do the training. So, set the goal. Hopefully you're excited about it. Hopefully you can find a way to enjoy the process, and, that's going to get you your best results at the end. And, that's really just the one main thing I think is the biggest piece of advice, is if you don't enjoy what you're doing, you're not going to do it, and you're not going to get to the result you want at the end. So big key piece right there. Hope all of you, have a great time preparing for your marathon or setting up your training plan on your calendar. And let me know which marathons you're running, if you're running anything. Like I said, Chicago's a great course for a fast marathon. It's probably one of my favorite. I'll probably do a video soon about comparing Chicago to New York City and which one's my favorite. And that's going to be a tough one to break down, but Chicago's great. Obviously, the other marathon majors are starting to come back. The Olympics are in a few days. So yeah, let me know what you're looking forward to with your running or watching running as it comes back, more on TV and more for in-person racing. And yeah, I'll see you next time.